Traces of a beast appear here, drawing the observer's attention to fresh signs in the ground. The prints are so obvious that they point to a massive animal having passed through this area. After observing that huge mountain dweller for several days, the observer concludes the man does not even properly handle a blade. He doubts that the giant who looks completely ignorant about hunting could have killed such a massive beast. It feels impossible to him. Even a professional hunter would struggle to take down a huge beast alone without a weapon. A quiet moment follows as he studies the prints and the surrounding ground, taking in every detail. He decides he needs to verify the scene for himself and moves closer to confirm what the tracks reveal. He leans in to inspect the marks more closely and immediately recognizes what they suggest from their shape. He identifies the marks as wolf bites, but the wound surfaces are oddly healed over, which puzzles him. He notes that the giant should not be able to move around so perfectly given those injuries, and that contradiction sticks out to him. Faced with the healed wounds and the giant's agility, he considers a new possibility this man might be a mage, perhaps a very rare one. He realizes that mages do exist in this world. He recalls that ordinary folk rarely encounter them. If this man truly is a mage, the possibility changes everything in front of him. He recognizes that the long-awaited opportunity has finally come. A brief pause follows as he processes the chance before him. He wonders what kind of person this man truly is. An older man admits that he is old and stubborn now, but remembers that there was once a time when he too was a vigorous young man. After admitting his age and stubbornness, he remembers his younger days as a forest keeper. At that time, those who managed a noble's mountain or woodland were obligated to spend a set period on the battlefield. Service on the battlefield could bring reward. If a keeper earned military merit there, he could be promoted to one of the lord's retainers. Not long after, he became the mountain keeper for a nearby village. The mountain he tended was overflowing with abundance. The mountain's only flaw was a shortage of firewood, because even commoners were allowed to enter the Lord's forest. As a result, people had to venture deeper into the mountains to gather wood. He recalls that he viewed those ventures as a good opportunity to learn the terrain better. He remembered that he had seen those ventures as a good opportunity to learn the terrain better. Right before the official contract, he failed to meet the conditions and was rejected. A quiet moment followed as he tried to absorb the blow of rejection. He could not have anticipated what would come next. He discovered that goblins lived within the mountain. The implication of that discovery changed how he viewed the place. He learned that goblins kidnapped human women and bred offspring with them. He sat with the grim detail, letting it sink in. One fact after another fell into place, deepening his concern. He later learned about the village where the women kept dying. That village had become infamous nearby as the Goblin Village. The revelation left the surrounding area marked by fear and suspicion. He had endured a wretched existence, waiting for the day he could take revenge on the goblins who stole everything from him and cast him into ruin. Despite despising the villagers, he lived alongside them for decades, keeping his presence among them while harboring that hatred. He swore he would survive until he burned every last one of their nests to the ground. Others began to claim that this man could do it. His enormous frame and monstrous strength were unlike anything found locally. On top of that, he possessed an absurd healing ability. People believed he could become stronger than any monster hunter they had ever seen. Right now, the goblins are hiding deep within the mountains, but once they run short of women, they will definitely attack the village again. Before that happens, he vows to turn this bastard into an exceptional hunter. He insists the existence of the goblin den must be kept hidden until the contract is signed. Someone calls out the name Aritzkoed. Even while greeting, Aritzkoed keeps his center of gravity shifted backward. He smiles, but he has not lowered his guard at all. From that day forward, he declares he will pass everything he knows onto the other. He tells him he will become a fine hunter. A brief, uncertain pause follows. After the brief, uncertain pause, he exhales and realizes it already feels like morning, as if he only closed his eyes for a moment. A quiet moment follows, the household still in the pale light of morning. The silence continues, giving the impression of time passing without interruption. He thinks back and admits he did not want to tell the visitor to come inside the house. He worries about what will happen when he is not around and does not want anyone growing accustomed to entering a house where only Lizzie and Dorothy remain. A brief, tense pause lingers as he weighs the thought and keeps his distance. The atmosphere stays taut, words left unsaid between them. Someone comments on an oddly suspicious smile, signaling that the expression has not gone unnoticed. Another voice asks if Juwon has arrived and jokes that the smile resembles an HR manager negotiating a salary, adding a touch of humor to the morning. The morning continues as another voice notes that Juwon seems to be learning polite refusals and decides to keep teaching him, then calls out Juwon's name. Juwon replies to Lizzie, assuring her that he is fine and that he will be back soon. A wife clumsily tries her best to pack a lunchbox, doing her best despite the awkwardness. An onlooker watches her efforts and finds her adorable. Someone suddenly calls out Dorothy's name in surprise. A panicked voice rushes in about the lunchbox, sounding anxious and hurried. The panicked voice from before keeps rushing out, urging haste and insisting they go quickly while reminding them to eat properly. The speaker reflects on how wonderful it is to have a family that looks after them, clearly moved by that care. Someone calls for safe return, and another voice points out that this is probably her way of saying come back safely. The plea to come back safely echoes again, with voices repeating and emphasizing the same urgent wish. A departing voice replies that they will, answering the concern with a simple promise to return safely. Someone suddenly calls Dorothy's name, and she reacts with surprise at being addressed so sharply. The call is repeated loudly and urgently, once more urging Dorothy to come back safely. A voice answers directly, assuring Dorothy that they will return, closing the exchange with a clear promise. After the promise to return, Dorothy erupts in panic, saying she does not want to leave home and that this is very bad. A quiet, tense pause follows as everyone takes in Dorothy's protest. The silence lingers, the mood uneasy as the situation settles. A man watches his suddenly acquired wife and daughter and finds them overwhelmingly adorable. The scene moves forward without words, the group continuing along the path. One person wonders aloud whether they have been walking for a long time. Someone questions what exactly the other is trying to show that would require so much walking. A strange string of characters on the ground catches their eye and sparks immediate surprise. A voice realizes they might have been told to look at the ground and questions whether that is the instruction. All attention shifts downward, tension rising as they prepare to see what the ground is hiding. They lean in closer, silence tightening as every eye fixes on the ground, waiting to reveal whatever is hidden there. The surface of the earth comes into clearer view, and something small but notable begins to draw their attention. A sudden exclamation cuts through the hush, a sharp reaction from someone nearest the spot. People edge forward to inspect the area, heads bent and eyes tracking the marks on the ground. An observer points out that his footprints are strange, and the group narrows its focus to study those unusual prints.